listening to the TPLCast, the official podcast of the People's League of Hell Let Loose. I'm your host, Tritium, and on this episode, I've got a guest co-host. It's Hercules. How you doing, Hercules?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. You all know Hercules as, one of the founders of the People's League, if not the founder, and a league official. So glad to have you on the episode.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. As always, I have to say, it's been a community effort from the start. Still is today. I might. The only thing I got is holding the server, but everything else is the people, man. And I'd really appreciate everyone helping out on that. And thank you for having me here. I'm excited to help out with this episode and hopefully bring some entertainment to some people.
Awesome. Just a quick disclaimer. Any opinions expressed by myself or guests on this podcast are only their opinions. It doesn't necessarily reflect what the league believes and what the league is going to do or what the league thinks about anything. So let's get into it. On this episode, we've got a little bit of league news. Then we're going to talk about the round 5 results and the finals matchups, as well as some predictions by the community. We also got a couple poll results from the community as well. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about the 2023 roadmap and our thoughts about that. So getting into league news, just a couple updates regarding league officials. Moskva has stepped down, and Beautiful Love has been swapped out for Reaper. So we've got Reaper as a new league official. One thing to note about that, league officials are super important for the league. It's how the league ensures that it stays unbiased. And just want to throw out there that any clans that don't have a league official, if you're registered for the league, I definitely encourage you to put someone forward as a league official, so that the league has more officials who can take a look at issues and help enforce the rules of the league. Any thoughts there, Hercules?
Yeah, man. As it's super important to have a group of individuals in order to make an unbiased decision. If the smaller the group of individuals, the more likelihood that being able to sway one or two towards your way of thinking can affect it. So a larger group is always better. We absolutely want the league official team to be seen as an impartial group. It's one unit, one team. So the more people that we have, the more voices that we have to help us, to help that team make decisions, the better.
Absolutely. So on to our final bit of league news. And Hercules, maybe you got a little something to say about this. We have finally ratified the tiebreaker rules. So I know that this was a big deal over the past couple of weeks. A lot of back and forth going on within the league Discord between reps and clan members and everything. And ultimately, it came down to 2 options, right? Didn't it, Hercules?
Yeah, man. This has definitely been one of the most decisive conversations that's taken place in the league as of late. I think the most decisive conversation before this was the actual season 1 format.
Oh yeah,
and oh boy, that one was a doozy too. But this one was right up there. It was nice and spicy throughout the whole discussion. We ended up putting up a vote. I put up the vote wrong. And had to offer an option to delay that vote so that we could split it up into several different votes, and it was just a whole thing. It was so many small aspects of the vote that I didn't take into account were going to be an issue. It turned into a huge issue, so we had to kind of break it down to make those individual parts their own sort of thing. And man, we got through it in time for the finals, and here we go. But it was definitely one of the more interesting discussions that we've had of late.
And just to talk about kind of where things landed, ultimately, like the two options were to continue on with the number of strong points that a team has captured by the end of the group stage, and the other option was to use a head-to-head record. I think
Right. So I
people.
think it all.
Yeah, I think people are a little more used to head-to-head, probably in the U.S. and strong points probably makes a little more sense outside of the U.S. If I were to guess.
Yeah, I think it came down to a big cultural difference, man. And you nailed it in the U.S. And occasionally, I think we saw some examples in the discussion of a couple of worldwide sports organizations that take head-to-head into consideration. But I know for most of the sports in the U.S., head-to-head is like the first tiebreaker.
Right.
But this being a worldwide competition, half of the people assumed that was didn't assume anything because that wasn't even a consideration. So it really came down to a big misunderstanding of what the actual procedure should be in that sort of case.
But yeah, thankfully that's been figured out. And ultimately we're going with strong points captured.
Yeah, so that was the big decision. We had to split that into two votes. The first vote being the strong point difference, and the second being whether or not to account for head-to-head first. And man, it was a pretty close vote on both of them, to be honest.
It was. That was really interesting to see.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion. Some of the most discussion I've seen on a vote in a long time. Like I said, but in the end, the decision was made. Nobody can doubt that it was the majority vote. I think that the way that we restructured those votes, I think that was the right thing to do. So I stand by that, and I'm just glad that it's solved.
Awesome. Well, how about we move on to the round 5 results?
Yeah, man. So we have in Group 1, of course, we've had the 2 dropouts, so we're down to 4 teams in Group 1. Unfortunately, KRRC and Merck had buys this round, meaning no matches. It is unfortunate. I'm sure both of those teams would definitely have rather played to keep getting that practice in preparation for these finals coming up, because that's going to be a heavy final.
Oh yeah.
The two clans that did play in Group 1 were TFMC versus 83AR. I think they tried to get some burns in, couldn't land on a warfare. Ended up settling for offensive. Map was Carentan, and I believe TFMC came out with that win. I don't remember off the top of my head what the actual match results were, but if you check out Frank the Tank's video, it's in the episode description. You should be able to watch it and find out. I won't spoil it, so go check it out.
For Group 2, we had 3 matches. We had the 11th versus Berserk, and they played an offensive match on Foy, with the 11th coming out on top with the win. We also had the first playing DBRG. They played a warfare match on Purple Heart Lane Knight, and the first came away with that win 5-0. I have a video that'll be in the episode description for that. And finally, for Group 2, we had a Void versus 504D/SUDT match. They played Warfare on Saint Marie Dumont, and Void came away with the win 5-0. Polski Oski has a video for that one as well, and that'll be in the episode description.
All right, and on to Group 3. Once again, man, HLLE and 50A had buys in this round due to some unfortunate dropouts. I'm hoping that we're going to see a little bit less in that with Season 2. Now that we've had a full season, we see what's going on. We see how it's working out. Hopefully, we're not going to have any dropouts, because the teams are going to know what they're expecting coming in. But the match that we did have on Group 3 was a pretty big one. I think a lot of people were looking forward to watching this and seeing how it was going to play out. We had 7th Legion versus WRTB. they were lucky enough to land on a Warfare. Unfortunately, it would have been unfortunate if I were on it. They landed on Foy. I absolutely hate that map. So I'm glad that I wasn't there for that match. But apparently then they had a slugfest from start to end. The result ended up being the 7th Legion won 3-2. Again, Frank the Tank, our combat journalist there, was able to get up to the front lines and make a video for us, and his video is in the episode description.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a really good game to watch, and it's so interesting to watch both of these teams go up against each other, especially because they're so good. So yeah, definitely encourage people to go check out Frank the Tank's video.
Yeah, man, me too. I definitely will say, sometimes you get some matches where a team is able to take all 5 points and you don't finish the whole match. But I gotta say, in a match that lasts the full hour and a half, especially Warfare, and especially between two teams of this caliber, that had to be exhausting for those players. If it were me, I'd have put my controller down for the rest of the day.
Yep.
I wouldn't have been able to do it anymore. It was just, from what I've watched in the video, man, it was just a slugfest.
Yeah. And Frank's getting around with these videos.
Yeah, man, and he's killing it. He's doing better and better. We're definitely seeing some activity from our combat journalists, trying to get out there, trying to make some content. I know I definitely support them where I can, watch all of them that I can, and I think all of us should, man. These videos showcase the competitiveness of the league. They showcase the caliber of the teams. Get in there, watch these videos, find out what's going on, learn some shit.
Awesome. Hey, you want to take on the season standings for us?
All right, yeah. Looking at the season standings, man, we have KRRC. They tied with 7th Legion for first place. They both had 15 points. That tie was broken by the SP point, putting King's Royal Rifle Corps in first place and 7th Legion in second. In third place, we have WRTB. We raised the bar with 13 points. Fourth place, the 11th Hellcats at 13 points. For fifth place, we had TFMC and 1st Infantry Division in a tie. Now, this tie was an interesting tie. The tie was between the main points and between the SP points. So these two teams agreed to have a match between the two to solve the tie. After that match, TFMC held on to 5th place, and 1st Infantry Division moved on to 6th place. Following them is Mercenary Task Force, commonly referred to as Merc. And 8th place is Hell Let Loose Elite. 9th place, the Void Battalion. 10th place, 83rd Armored Reconnaissance. 11th place, that Coalition, Sons of UDT, and 504th Devils. Man, they've actually put on a really good showing. I'm impressed to see that Coalition last the season and do as well as they've done. In 12th place, we have I'm gonna butcher this, 50A Division Infanteria. I know that's absolutely probably terrible, but I gave it my best shot. Listen, all 12 of these teams worked their butts off, but we can't forget about Berserkers and Devil's Brigade. They're unfortunately not going to proceed into the final stage, but they are both very good clans, and we look forward to seeing them compete next season. I want to see what they bring to the table. I want to see what they do. Man, what do you think about these standings?
Hard to say. I think there are some teams in these standings that we hadn't played before, or that I haven't played against anyway. So I really didn't know what to expect. With that being said, as far as the top teams, it's about what I was thinking it would be. I wasn't entirely sure what order they would be in, but these standings definitely don't surprise me. Now, as far as Berserkers and the Devil's Brigade, both those clans are really good, and I think the first had some really good matches against them. So I really do look forward to facing them in the next season if we do, because both those clans are really good. And one thing to note about the TFMC and first match, Frank once again has a video up for that will be in the episode description. So check that out. So next up, we got our finals bracket. It's all filled in, ready to go for round one. For round one, we've got HLLE versus Void. Next, we've got TFMC versus 50A. Then we've got the first versus SUDT/504D. And finally, we've got Merck versus 83AR. Now, the four teams that skipped round one are KRRC, the 11th, the 7th, and WRTB. So they won't have a match in round one. But the winner of HLLE and Void will go on to face KRRC. The winner of TFMC and 50A will go on to face the 11th. The winner of the first and SUDT/504D are going to go on to face the 7th. And the winner of Merck and 83AR are going to go on to face WRTB.
Boy, that's some interesting stuff, man. I am excited to see how these finals are going to play out. Looking forward to seeing which clan tag is going to be sitting over there on that right side in that champion slot.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some pretty tough battles between where we are now and that final slot.
Yeah. I know it. And I know this is going to put our combat journalists to some work, man, but I hope they can get into almost every match on this bracket here, because I just want to see them all. I want to see how every one of them unfolds, and just to see the skill that each one of these teams are going to put forward, man. So excited to see who's going to be in that grand final.
Oh, yeah. And hey, if to my audience, if you all want to hear some post-game interviews, perhaps, let me know in the comments or on TPL Discord. I might be able to set that up. Let me know. So let's talk a little bit about some of these poll results. I polled the community about a few things. First of all, let's talk about predictions for the finals bracket for the HLLE versus Void game. It looks like HLLE.
Oh yeah,
had,
these polls were spicy.
Oh yeah. It looks like HLLE had 69% of the vote. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm excited to see these two teams. I would hesitate to say that, they're pretty evenly matched. I can't remember playing HLLE, but being a former member of Void, I know that they've really put a focus on their competitive play lately. I know that they're really killing it out there on the scene. I'm looking forward to seeing what they got. I know, just watching the results of HLLE's matches throughout the group standings, I know that they're going to do really good. It's going to be an interesting fight to see. Obviously, the community thinks HLLE is going to come out on top, making Void the underdog. I've always been a supporter of underdogs, so Void hit it a home run, man. But to both clans, good luck.
Next, we have TFMC versus 50A. This one, 50A came out as a huge underdog. 96% voted for TFMC to win that matchup.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big percentage, and I think that's going to come from 58 not having a whole lot of members of the community, in their messaging people and really getting their name out there. I think we've only got a very few members of 50A in. I think they're mostly a different language than English. I can't remember what language they are. Maybe Spanish. So I think a lot of their members haven't come in, haven't had that exposure. A lot of TFMC members in the TPL server. It's just going to be once again. I haven't played against TFMC or 50A, so I really don't have the expertise or the knowledge to say that one team is going to come out on top of the other. But it definitely looks like the community has made their choice known.
Yeah. Yeah, so you think a little bit merit based, or mostly merit based, and a little bit popularity, perhaps.
It's hard to say. TFMC, I think they have put on one hell of a showing this season. I've definitely hopped in a couple of games with a couple of individuals. I haven't played with the whole team, but all of the individuals I've played with have just been fantastic. I have not had the pleasure of playing with any 50A members, so I can't speak for that. But I will say that the people I have played with TFMC, they impress me. So, at least half of it's merit based.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. TFMC are pretty strong. I mean, I was just in that match, that tiebreaker match with them. So, yeah, they're legit. All right. Next, we have the first versus 504D and SUDT. 85% voting for first.
Yeah, man, not a lot of faith in the coalition, but as I said earlier in the standings, I am impressed with the coalition's ability to stay together and make it as far as they have. In the first, obviously, being a bigger clan, that team is going to have the experience, the knowledge. The 504D and SUDT, they're two different clans who formed one team. They're having, that communication, that bridge might not always be there. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And I think in the community's eyes, that's kind of putting them at a bit of a disadvantage. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the first played 504D. I think SUDT wasn't able to play in that match, but at least 504D, we had a really good game against them. And I hadn't played against 504D previously, so again, it was one of those situations where I didn't know what to expect, and they definitely impressed. So that's going to be a good match.
They have come into their own for sure, and if they come back into season 2 as a coalition together, they're going to have that experience from season 1. They're going to have that cohesion that they've developed throughout season 1. Who knows? Season 2, that coalition could be on top.
Awesome. And finally, we have the poll for Merc versus 83AR. 78% voting for Merc. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, man. 83AR is going to be an underdog. I know that previously at the beginning of the season, I know that their strategy was pretty heavy on tanks. I think within the first couple of games, they learned that they're going to have to flex around that a little bit. So I think a lot of the community is looking at those first couple of games from the group season going, hey, I don't think 83AR is going to make it very far. But I think at this point, they've adjusted their strategy, man. They are making the strides that they need to make. I think they're going to give Merc one hell of a challenge. Merc is once again one of those bigger teams. They have their strategy in place. They are ready to go. They've killed it in the group standings, and I think they're going to face a pretty hard challenge here. I think it's interesting that the community is split about three quarters for Merc and a quarter for 83AR. Where once again we'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the season champion prediction. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, the spiciest one of them all. Before I move on to the actual poll, man, what do you think?
Oh man. Being honest, okay, I think the 7th is probably at the top. I think KRRC and WRTB are probably their biggest competition. But we just saw recently that game against WRTB, and seventh came away with the win. Now, who's to say that WRTB can't come back and beat the 7th? I don't know, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like the 7th is probably the strongest.
Man, it's funny that you say that because the community agrees with you. We've got 33% of those voted for 7th Legion coming out on top. Not a whole lot of other clans really got any votes. We've got 11th Hellcats at 16% of the votes, and we've got KRRC at 17% of the vote. What is that? Merc at 12%. But there's really not a whole lot of other people really think anybody except for 7th Legion is going to be on top.
Yeah, seemed to be a consensus there.
Oh yeah, look forward to seeing them play that match if they make it to the. And they've got one hell of a logo too. Man, it's gonna be interesting to see what we can make happen with that, huh? What do you think about logos?
Yeah. So we also had another poll for best clan logo, as many people know. And I was gonna throw out some of the results for this because people were obviously gonna vote for their own clan no matter what. But I decided to go ahead and just run with the results as is. So yeah, logo wise, Merc, man, they ran away with it. 26%. They easily have the most the most popular logo out of all of them. Next we had let's see, 14% for KRRC, and 13% for Void, 12% for 7th Legion. Interesting results there.
Yeah, interesting results. I gotta say, just from a personal opinion here, Merc isn't my favorite, but the community thinks otherwise. What do you think? What's your favorite?
Well, hold on. What's your favorite? What's your favorite here?
Oh man, I don't know if I really have a favorite, but I'd have to say the 11th Hellcats is a pretty badass little logo there. If I had to pick a second, I'd have to say that the HLLE. It's just got that classic. I don't know. Did you ever watch Agents of Shield? It kind of reminds me of that, and it hits a soft spot. So I'd have to say it's probably one of my favorites too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I tend to go for the simpler logos, the ones that are like flat. They don't necessarily have to be, two color or anything, but yeah, the ones that are mostly flat. So I like the 11th. I like 504Ds. I liked Devil's Brigades. HLLE is very clean, very clean. Yeah, I don't think I don't think Merc was my favorite either. But a lot of people like the skulls. A lot of people like the skulls.
A lot of people like them, man. I'd have to say for comedy factor, just to throw this in, the logo for TFMC cracks me up. I don't know why.
Oh,
That
yeah.
little cartoon guy holding that gun, man. I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna put them in my third place.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of character. We finally got something that we've been waiting for a while, long while.
Tell me more. I want to know. I gotta know. Please lay it on me.
Finally got that 2023 roadmap.
Oh God.
Did you watch the video when it was when it premiered?
I did not. Unfortunately, I was busy with the business. I just couldn't break time away to go and watch that. When it came out, I did catch a couple of snippets of it on the YouTube video, but I never made it around to watching the full thing. I think I've read some things on it though. I think I've got a pretty good understanding of exactly what they're trying to convey, or at least through the patch notes and stuff. But I'm excited to see what actually happens. We all know what happened with that last roadmap that released, and I think we got just a little bit more than half of the content that was on it. If I'm thinking right, that roadmap was released by Black Matter. Since then, the IP of Hell Let Loose has been fully purchased by T17, which is the team that brought Hell Let Loose to console. So they've been working really hard behind the scenes. I know a lot of the players have been pretty mad with them over the lack of searches that would make lives easier. But I think they've really been hard at work trying to come up with a roadmap that they're going to be able to stick to. So I'm really excited to see what T17 does for us in the console community, as well as the PC community, and I'm excited to see what this roadmap is going to bring us. I really am. They've got a lot of really good points on here that just have really piqued my interest, honestly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about the roadmap for me was how long T17 at least plans to support the game. So they said they were going to treat each year as 1 year in World War II, beginning with 1939, which means that they plan on putting out like 5 years of content, which is crazy.
Man, it is crazy, but I think it's also exciting to see. It's exciting to see that the developers have plans to continue supporting the community for 5 or 6 more years. We all know that we wouldn't be doing this crap if we didn't. So it's good to see that the planned support, is going to be there for a good bit to come. I'm excited anyway. I think it's going to be interesting. I think adding the years and secession like that is just going to definitely be an interesting way to approach adding content into the game. Throughout the years of the war, new technology was introduced. And throughout the years in the game, we're going to see, hopefully, some or most of those new technologies introduced into the game. It's going to be exciting to see how they make the mechanics fit with that. It's just, there's going to be a lot of stuff. I'm excited to see how they plan on making that work. What do you think about it, man? 5 to 6 years of content with succeeding years.
It is interesting. It's a really interesting way to release content. I think, mostly I think the duration gives a little more energy to the player base. Knowing that, this game that we all play isn't just gonna live for another year or so and then not get any updates. But also I don't know of any other games that have released content in this manner where it kind of follows the years of the war.
I
And of
know I
course,
haven't seen anything like that. Most of the time, what you see is like releasing factions and stuff.
right. And of course, I fully expect it to be everything from probably vehicles to guns to maps to uniforms, all that stuff. So it should be really interesting to see.
Yeah, let's hope they just keep adding some good content. They're gonna keep releasing helmets. We all know that to be a fact. But let's see some other stuff. Definitely some uniforms. We all like to see uniforms, but I want to see a pretty big emphasis on weapons. The weapons didn't stay the same. A whole lot of different weapons used in World War II, and it's going to be interesting to see how those weapons are going to be released with this new content. I hope that, from what I've been hearing, I hope this isn't the case, but from what I've been hearing, some of it sounds like some of the new factions brought in are basically going to have reskinned weapons. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I hope to see some different variations, some different personalities in the weapons between the factions. I hope to see just a whole bunch of different factions, and I hope to see more roadmaps.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the roadmap a little bit, a little more in depth?
Yeah, as always.
Awesome. So in April, I assume this covers everything that we already got in this update yesterday when this is recorded. So they had a general bug fixing, free DLC, quality of life improvements, gameplay analytics, and a premium DLC. Now I haven't quite looked yet to see what the premium DLC was. Have you?
I have not either. I do think they've got what is it? Scorned or something like that is the pack name. I don't know.
I want to say it's it's like the helmets with the bullet holes and stuff.
Yeah, the uniforms are a little bit torn.
Yeah. Which I think is a cool idea. I kind of like it.
It looks good. It looks it's not quite so clean. I don't know about you guys. The very first face that you load onto Hell Let Loose is that wide-eyed guy, just a super clean face. The minute I figured out how to change that face to a dirty face that looked a little bit more scarred, I did it. I didn't like that clean look, man. So I'm definitely glad to see that they're introducing that into the uniforms too.
You think these will have faces with them? New faces?
I don't know. I don't know about new faces, man, but it'd be nice to see. I'm tired of seeing the same, 5, 6 faces.
Yeah, I hope they do. I didn't even think about the faces.
I hadn't either. That was just the only comparison I had, man. I always change the characters off of that fresh face, and I think that's kind of what they're going for with the uniforms there. As far as the rest of the update, general bug fixing, I think they fixed a couple of bugs, but they've definitely introduced a couple of more, which I think was the expectation of a large percentage of the community. But I have to say, these bugs, not quite so bad. At least the ones I've seen.
What new bugs did they introduce? I haven't played too much since the update came out.
So the only consistent bug I have seen is the reload animation for the Car 98. It does this weird, it starts to reload and then it basically restarts the animation. goes almost all the way through the animation, and then finishes the last half of the animation again. So it's got this weird double take that happens twice. You in the middle you see the full reload animation. Last two ends looks like a glitch happening. It definitely makes that reload time a little bit longer. But it's a pretty consistent glitch. It only happens when you empty the clip on the Car 98. If you reload before you empty the clip, you're loading in the individual bullets. You don't experience that reload animation glitch. But if you empty the clip, it's going to try to reload all of the bullets at the same time using that quick load option that came with the Car 98. And whenever it triggers that animation, it's just like a cyclical trap. It just traps itself for a couple of extra seconds.
Interesting. What do you think about the new M1 reload animation?
I did not have a chance to check that out. I got in pretty late from work last night, and I just didn't have much of a chance to get on. When I did get on, I was checking out and testing that Car 98 glitch. But I've heard that the M1 animation looks unnatural.
I
think it's a lot closer to the actual.
That's the thing. Like I heard the same thing. I heard some complaints about it. But when I played and I saw the animation, it looks more accurate to the way that you would reload the M1 Grand.
See, and that's what they were going for. They were going for that realistic animated look, and I think that they've achieved that as far as the style. From what I've heard, there's just a couple of people that say it look unnatural. I haven't had a chance to see it myself. I'm excited to get on it. Always love a good round of Hell Let Loose.
Yeah.
But even if it is just a little bit unnatural, the thing to remember here, guys, we're in a video game. It's not going to be perfect.
Right.
It's not like somebody's actually out there reloading the Grand as we're doing it. They're doing their best. They made a really good game, and if it's got a little bit of a reload weirdness, hey, we all like a little goofy sometimes. Let's roll with it.
What I would love to see is something like Battlefield, where like once in every 1,000 reloads, your character gets like Garand Thumb or something.
Oh, that would be very cool to introduce. Maybe a couple of different animation styles that that way it wouldn't be so uniform all the time. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't even know Battlefield had that. I never played Battlefield, but that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, it's like super rare. And I think it's mostly for reloads, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, for certain weapons, it'll do like some goofy thing.
Hey, maybe we bring it up and put it in the official HLL Discord. Maybe we'll get some movement on it.
So the next update, which I believe is update 14, coming in June. It seems like that's when we really start to get some new content. And first of all, by the way, I'm just very impressed at how many releases they plan to do this year. I'll talk about that a little later, but anyway, yeah. So for June, we've got general bug fixing, a free DLC, quality of life improvements, gameplay analytics. So they're still working on getting analytics so that they can see what's what players are doing in the game and how they're going about it and stuff. Then we have a map refresh, improved player locomotion, non-verbal communication tools, updated in-game player reporting tools. We have British forces, a new website, new merch store, and premium DLC. That's a lot in one update.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a big one. That is going to be a big one for sure. I know I've heard, let me go ahead and start off by saying I've heard a lot of people complaining about the non-verbal communication tools. A lot of people are saying we don't, we want this to be a game where people communicate. But we all need to remember we're an inclusive community. We have to remember that there's people who may be speech impaired. These nonverbal communication tools, that's going to be for those people who don't have a microphone, maybe because they can't afford one, it broke, all sorts of reasons that it could be. These tools are for them. It's not to encourage playing without a microphone, but it's to give the tools to those who don't have that ability.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, there's just so many situations where you you might want to play, but you can't really talk, right? Maybe it's late at night and you're not trying, you're trying not to wake people up or something.
Well, yeah, people have kids. You don't want to wake the baby up you just spent 45 minutes trying to get to sleep.
Exactly. So I think I think this is a good thing, as long as it doesn't get too crazy. I mean, I don't want to see like emotes coming.
I don't want to see no emotes. I swear to bejesus, if I see a guy in the middle of a field dancing, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna empty my clip. I'm gonna run up to him. I'm gonna keep shooting him. Emotes are they're just the bane of my existence. I
Yeah.
hope to God I never see a guy doing an emote in Hell Let Loose.
Please. Oh my gosh. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, but there's still lots of other things coming with update 14. What do you know about these gameplay analytics, man? We see that coming in this update we just got here in April. I see that coming out in the June update 14. See some more coming out in update 15.
Mhm.
What is up with the gameplay analytics? Do you know anything about that?
So I can speak from a developer's point of view. I don't know. Now, I'm not a game developer. Just to put that out there. But I am a software engineer. So, from a software engineering perspective, analytics, generally speaking, is basically something that reports on when someone does something. So, for instance, um, say the developers want to track reloads and ensure that reloads are happening correctly or something like that. They would put in analytics that gets triggered whenever you press the reload binding. And then it also tracks how long the animation runs, so on and so forth. In order to tell, okay, how long did this take? Did this happen when the player pressed the correct binding? Did the player have to press it multiple times? What happens when the player presses it multiple times? Does it do something weird? Does it, maybe the first time they press it, it goes through the full animation, and any subsequent presses, it doesn't do anything. That's generally what analytics is going to be looking at. So they're probably adding analytics to a lot of things in order to get a better picture of exactly how everything is working in real life, like in game. Players actually playing it, not in a test environment, that sort of thing.
Well, let's hope that's the case. I hope they add the gameplay analytics to every aspect of it then. I definitely know that one of the things that they're going to be specifically looking for with these analytics is the grenade glitch. We've all had it.
Yeah.
We've all had it for a long time. It's a persistent glitch that the developers have not been able to figure out because they can't recreate that problem consistently. If anybody knows anything about, we all know that in order to track and trace a problem, you have to be able to recreate that problem. You have to be able to see that problem happening in live action. These gameplay analytic tools are going to allow them to track that process, to see it happening live, to look at the programming that's happening as the glitch is happening and hopefully fix it. I know that grenade glitch has definitely been a persistent one. I think Black Matter had issues with it. It's moved on to T17's issue. They still haven't had any luck with it, again, because they can't recreate it. So let's hope that these analytics will help solve that issue.
More than likely, they'll probably get like code stack traces and stuff that come back with these analytics. So they should be able to tell like exactly where errors happen and that sort of thing. So this is definitely a plus.
Definitely. Plus, seeing some stuff about the maps. Can you tell us a little bit more about that coming in the June update?
Yeah. So just watching the video, what they said specifically was that they were doing lighting passes to add extra atmospherics into the levels and redressing them and having much more storytelling in the levels. So
I wonder what kind of storytelling they're going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what atmospherics are. Do you know? I mean, I can guess, but
See, my thoughts on the atmospherics would be things like map-placed smoke, fog,
Oh yeah,
things that help create the atmosphere, the feeling that you're in, things that are going to make the image darker, things that are going to make it not necessarily darker, but a little bit more foreboding, things that make it a little bit more exciting, but I don't know. Who knows what it could be? Atmospherics is such an ambiguous term that
yeah.
it could really mean one of 1,000 things. But let's hope that they do it right.
Right. So you think it could be more like environmental type stuff?
That's what I would say. I mean, if they're talking about lighting passes, they're going to be dealing with the environment. They're going to be dealing with how the light is refracting or working on the environment, how that's going to affect the visual that's given to the player through the system. I really think that they're going to have adding, talking about atmospherics. That's just what I would picture. Adding fog, adding smoke, adding
Yeah.
different maybe uh, map assets that create a different story. They're talking about storytelling. It could be something as simple as depicting an ambush in the middle of Carentan.
Right.
Maybe they've got an idea of how they can place destroyed vehicles and other map assets in order to create a story, to create a picture. Other than that, I really wouldn't have any idea how they would create storytelling, rather than maybe tell a story with Harold the chicken that runs around in the rafters of Dugout. I don't know. I hope they leave him in.
Oh
Does
man,
anybody know? Have you seen Harold lately? Please tell me Harold's still in.
I did see that they removed some of the Easter eggs. They removed all the teddy bears.
No. I gotta go make sure the cat statue is still there.
I assume the storytelling stuff is probably more like I don't know. Take for instance the cows on what is it, Omaha or Utah, one of the two, or maybe both. I don't know. But you know how there's like dead cows and stuff laying around.
Yeah,
It kind of tells the story that like, oh, there's been a war here.
yeah. These cows were caught in a crossfire.
Exactly. Instead of having everything so clean and while it's great that the landscapes are beautiful, there is war going on. You know
Yeah, they're not supposed to be.
exactly. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what they do with that. What do you think about this improved player locomotion?
Man, I know they said something about something that they refer to as mantling. I've never even heard of that before. But apparently they're trying to find ways to, per their words, improve this throughout the course of the game so that it feels like a smoother experience for players, and so they don't feel like they are getting caught up in the objects in the environment, but rather using the objects in their environment to their advantage. Um, Now, I've never heard of this mantling deal, but I'm always an advocate for smoother motion, smoother, mantling by definition, jumping over objects. We've had some issues jumping over fences. We've all had that issue. Don't tell me you haven't. I know it's true. Jumping over boxes, jumping out of a trench. We all have issues where we got to climb up on something, man. I'm hoping that this is what they're talking about. I hope that they've got some plan in place to solve that and make that a little bit smoother. It definitely sounds like they know what's going on. Sounds like they've gotten some consistent feedback from players. I think that they're taking that into serious account, and I think they found a solution. Let's hope that it works out all right.
So I believe all three of the examples you just gave are mantling.
Oh, well, look at there.
Mantling is basically jumping over, jumping up onto something or jumping over an object.
I mean, that's what I would view it as by definition, but I just haven't, can't say I've heard it used in the context of the game yet. Um, but, uh, I mean, hey, at least it's the right name.
Yeah, as long, dude, if they could fix it so that you don't have to be like facing 90 degrees to the whatever it is you're trying to jump over, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
and if the jump could actually work every time.
Right? Yeah. Right. I don't know how many times I've ran up to a fence, and I'm sure that to some other player who's watching me, it looks like I just ran up to a fence and I stopped, and I'm trying so hard to jump over that fence, and then you got to back up a couple of steps,
Yeah.
make another running start. God forbid you miss it the second time. You might as well just redeploy. Just redeploy, start over.
So little tip and trick here for anybody listening. Hold the jump button. Don't just press it. Hold it as you approach
That
the
does
object that
help.
you're jumping.
That does definitely help. Make sure you start a couple, like a meter back. You don't want to jump like right on top of it either. Give yourself a little bit of room.
But hold that button. It'll do it. Trust me. It will improve it 100%. All right. Next we got British forces. What do you think about that? I think that's pretty huge. That's pretty huge, especially for a large portion of the player base.
And I know it's going to be a huge update when it lands. But I got to bring out one of the disappointments that I've heard. In the previous roadmap, they were talking about the Commonwealth being part of the British forces. The Commonwealth containing, I think, Canadian forces. There's one or two other forces, maybe. Don't quote me on this. I don't remember quite all that much. But I know the Canadian forces were definitely part of that. In this new roadmap, we're not seeing Commonwealth. I haven't heard Commonwealth. I haven't seen it in any of the text updates. Nothing. The only thing I've seen is like you said, the British forces. We've got new weapons, new maps, new stuff for the British forces, but I haven't heard anything about the Commonwealth. Now there's a little bit of disappointment that they're not going to be including that, at least on the roadmap. Let's hope that it's one of those surprises that comes with the British forces. Maybe they were planning that all along and they're just including it as under the British forces. But let's just hope we see it pretty quick.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to dial. I don't know. I was thinking like maybe they were trying to dial the amount of work back a little bit. So they cut it down to like just British forces, but
yeah, and that's true. And then also something I just thought of, if they're releasing the content by the years as progression, when did the Canadian forces enter the game?
Good point.
Were they there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't remember when. Maybe that's how they're playing it. Maybe that's why they're not going to be releasing the Canadian forces, the Commonwealth, in this year's roadmap. Maybe that's everything it is.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting to think about. So, with the British forces, they mentioned some new weapons and vehicles. The three examples that they gave in the video were the Firefly tank, the Bren gun, and the Sten gun. I don't know anything about the Firefly tank. Do you?
I don't, but I know that Bren gun is gonna be glorious.
Yeah. The Bren should be good. The Sten, on the other hand.
Hey, I think it's gonna be like the grease gun. You're either gonna have those players that love it, or you're gonna have those players that hate it. There's not gonna be really an in between.
Yeah. So here's my question. How is this gonna work exactly? Is it gonna be like a new uniform that you put on, and then with that uniform you get your loadout changes? Or is this going to be, because my understanding is that there aren't new maps coming with British forces. So we'll have all the same maps.
I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah, I'm just interested to know how that's going to work.
I don't know how. That is a good question, sir.
Yeah, they did say it was a starting point. So I guess maybe there will be some maps later on that are more British and Commonwealth focused. I don't know. Should be interesting to see.
It will be interesting to see how that plays out. That's something I hadn't given any thought about. I kind of just assumed that with the British forces would come new maps, kind of like with the Russian forces came the Russian maps, where you can only use the Russian forces on Russian maps. I guess it wouldn't really make entire sense to use the British in that format, but I think that's just kind of what I had in mind. I haven't given it any thought. But it's interesting. Maybe it could be uniform locked. You can only use the British weapons in uniform. Maybe they have certain maps that they do just the same way they've done with the Soviets. They've made it to where they could only use the Soviets versus the Russians. My interesting question is, when are the Germans going to get anything?
Just like new stuff in general?
Yeah. If I understand right, the British forces are going to work on the Allied side, right?
Yeah.
So we're adding new tools, new weapons, new vehicles for the Allied side, but now there's Soviet side against the Germans. Now we've got new Allied stuff against the Germans, and we've got the same old Germans. I know that the weapons that they used were pretty much the same throughout the war, but I know that they were certainly not limited to the weapons that are currently in the game.
Right.
So when are we going to get new German weapons?
I don't know. It's a good question. Good question. I wonder if I don't know. I wonder if T-17 is thinking about that.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be one of those things again with the progression of the years. Maybe we'll see some new additions to the German weapon force.
Yeah. Last couple things, we had a new website. No one cares about that. New merch store. I'm assuming this is. Oh no, this isn't the in-game store either. I'm assuming this is part of the website.
Yeah, so that's my assumption because the in-game store is going to come in another update. I don't know. Oh, that's going to be a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
The merch store though, I'm excited to see, man. I'd probably buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, I'd buy a T-shirt.
Coffee mug.
Sure. I'd buy it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Then we got another premium DLC. So we are going to get a premium DLC and a nope, just a premium DLC with every update.
With every update, and I assume the premium in this case is meaning that it is a paid DLC.
Yeah, I would assume so.
If that's the case, let's all keep in mind these are probably only a couple of dollars. Now, I'm not encouraging anybody to spend their money in irresponsible ways. If you don't think it's a responsible choice, don't do it. However, all of these smaller purchases do help the developers. They help fund the developers for future years in the game. I'm buying every one of them that comes out. That's just what I'm doing. I definitely think it's important to support these developers so that they feel less inclined to bring in a store with microtransactions, because that's going to be terrible.
Oh man. Yeah. I've purchased every DLC that's come out so far, minus the latest one, only because I've forgotten to buy it, but I will buy it. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they come out with.
Here's my thing, man. I don't mind buying the DLCs as they came out because I got the game for free. I was one of those lucky ones that it came out on PlayStation. I was like, let me go download this. So I don't mind spending the money on the DLC because that's my way to support the developers since I didn't actually purchase the game.
Yeah. I bought the game outright, so but I still buy the DLCs. But yeah, speaking of that in-game store, the July update, I assume update 15. We're getting some general bug fixing, gameplay analytics, new tutorial system, a new game mode, which we'll talk about, 101st Airborne DLC, the in-game store, and a premium DLC. What do you think about the in-game store?
I'm not excited to see what they mean by the in-game store, man. It just doesn't excite me, not one bit. I'm not interested. I'm not excited. I don't want it. I don't want it there. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think so I'm neutral on it at the moment. I feel like the in-game store is probably going to just be a way to purchase the DLCs without having to go through, like, for instance, the Xbox store or whatever. Because I know some people in the past that I've talked to didn't even know that there were DLCs because the DLCs are only available in the store. And, once they got the game, like, they never checked the store again. So I assume it will just be a way to get the DLCs. With that being said, if it has any type of pay-to-win stuff or anything like that, if it's got guns in there or anything other than cosmetics, I will be furious.
Man, I'm even worried about the cosmetics that they're going to bring in with an in-game store. However, I have
You
to say
think
I
we're gonna
hadn't
get
thought of
some
it. I hadn't
anime
thought of it
stuff?
like you said. I hadn't thought of it like you said, man. Maybe it is going to be a way for them to bring more awareness to their DLC so that they can get more people to purchase it to support the further development of the game. I have PTSD, man. Whenever I hear in-game store, I saw somebody mention earlier, one of the Discords I'm in. I can't wait to run around with my rainbow shotgun with the unicorn horn on top of it. I'm
Yeah.
so scared. I'm so scared of the cosmetics that could be introduced. If it's an in-game store providing the DLC, the premium DLC, as long as we keep this game with the atmosphere that it's got now, we all like the realism of it. We like the realistic uniforms. I don't think anybody wants to see some crazy bullcrap off the walls. So let's just hope that they keep that in-game store nice and simple, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want to see the microtransactions. One of the other things I was scared about. I was talking to this yesterday with somebody. I don't want to see the ability to purchase an increase of experience points.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, so I would consider that like a pay to win type deal.
Yeah, I just don't want to see anything kind of like that. You know, it would ruin it for me.
Yeah. Speaking of experience, we can talk about this later because I have a spot for what's missing. But yeah, we'll bring experience back up.
Okay.
So, what do you think about this new tutorial system?
I think it's been needed for a long time. The tutorial system they have in there right now, man, it just doesn't tell you much. It tells you everything you need to know, but it doesn't lay it out in a format that's easily understandable to new players who haven't played an objective-based game quite like Hell Let Loose.
Yeah.
There's not very many of them quite like this, so it's definitely important to be able to understand the information they're giving you, not just be given the information. Being an experienced player now, looking through the tutorial, I can pretty much understand everything that they're trying to tell you. But that's because I've been seeing it for the past year and a half. I've been talking to other players, been playing the game. I have an understanding of the mechanics. But I remember being I opened up that tutorial and I was like, what in the heck does all of these numbers mean? What does it mean? I just didn't have. I tried to understand it. I had never played. I was like, the difference between an OP and a garrison. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
But I hope that they find a better way to portray that information to new players who don't have an understanding of how a realistic game like this is going to work.
Definitely. Yeah, I really hope that the tutorial system really focuses on team gameplay and not just like, oh, this is a garrison, this is an OP, but like kind of talk about like how the game is supposed to be played. You know what I mean?
Right. I think in the current tutorial they have one section that flanking is important.
Right.
And then okay, yeah, thanks. What the heck
Right.
do I do? But I hope to see them explain the game modes a little bit more. I know a lot of people still don't know that in offensive mode, if you're not in the black circle, you're not capping nothing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm still explaining that to players today.
There is no
So
sector pressure.
I definitely think that they're going to need to kind of flesh that, how the different game modes work out, especially with, I hear that they're planning on adding a new game mode with the July
Right.
update.
Yeah, it's called objective, which isn't at all confusing or anything.
Right? What do you know about that, man?
Oh gosh. We have warfare, offensive, now objective, and objective has an objective. Well, they all have objectives. I don't know. It's going to be very confusing. But yeah, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a shorter experience. So, warfare is an hour and a half. Offensive can go up to I think 2.5 hours. This one's going to be like 30 to 40 minutes. So it's going to be really interesting. They talked a little bit about where the idea came from. And it sounds like the idea was really from the assault on the Breakor battery, which Easy Company of the 101st Airborne they executed. Yeah, so it's going to be an infantry focused mode, and the commander abilities are going to change a little bit due to the shorter gameplay and the infantry focus.
Here's what I'm wondering: are they gonna put a cap on the player limit, the infantry limit for the team? I know that on PC they have a private tournament that's 18 versus 18, I think. I wonder if they've gotten any inspiration for the mechanics on this new game mode from that tournament right there.
Interesting.
Are they going to be capping the player limit? Are they going to be? Is it going to be a full 50 versus 50 around one battery objective? I mean, that seems like it would be a pretty big cram.
Right.
But then again, we do it all the time in offensive. So I wonder how they're going to handle that. What do you have any ideas on what do you think they would do with the player limits?
I have no clue. I would assume that you're probably on the right track with a lower player limit. But I really have no idea. Like they didn't say a whole lot about the objective mode. I don't know. I also don't know if I'm really feeling the shorter gameplay. Like I feel like warfare is the perfect length. Offensive can get way too long sometimes.
Oh yeah, what is it? 2.5 hours for the
Yeah,
if you're able to stretch it out.
Right.
I've definitely had one or two of those game modes where you've gotten to the end of that. Like, just stop playing. Let's lose this point. I'm done.
Right.
But you're right. Warfare always feels like it's the perfect amount of time. Sometimes you walk all the way back to the map, to the back of the map, and it feels way too quick. But when you can get in versus another team, we've had this experience a lot with TPL. When you can get in with another team and make that whole Warfare match last, it's just the perfect experience. I want to see how they're going to be able to translate the hell let loose experience that you get in a stressful warfare mode like that. I want to see how they're going to translate that to a shorter experience. One of the things I'm a little bit nervous is I don't want it to feel like Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Exactly.
I don't want to get that chaotic feeling, you know. I want to keep the organization, the focus on team play. I'm sure there's going to be a big focus on team play, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more running and gunning too. So I hope to not see that. No armor. That's going to be quite a big thing to push a point and not have any chance of armor backup. We all know that that's been a savior sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this shorter gameplay, smaller map. You know, I don't know. And it seems like the reduction of gameplay and map size is a sort of a pattern in this roadmap, as we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I don't know if I like where it's going. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe it's super fun. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to focus the action a little bit more. Maybe it's not going to turn out anything like what I'm hoping it won't turn out, which I hope to be the case. I hope that we are able to keep that feeling of hell let loose. It's just a fear that's in the back of my mind.
Yeah. What do you think about this 101st Airborne DLC? Looks like we're going to get new artillery units and new German machine gun units.
Hey, I was just bitching about that.
Yeah, I don't know what the term unit means exactly in the way that they used it in the video.
You know, I don't either. My hope is that maybe it will mean a unit that's able to build like a little machine gun fort. It's not going to be it's going to be a fortified position. I'm not sure how that would be different than an engineer and a machine gunner working together to build a bunker with a machine gun on it. But I don't know. I don't have any idea on what they could be doing. I was hoping to see a little bit more detail on that, but I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, I say not anytime soon. July's really.
Yeah, it's not that far. Gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, looks like these updates are going to be coming pretty quick this year. We've got one in April, one in June, one in July, and then the next one being in September. Now this one's going to be a pretty interesting one, huh? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we're just I don't know. I mean, I guess for for us on consoles, it's not going to be that big of a deal, right? Like we're going to have a map refresh, so another atmospheric, lighting pass on the existing maps, and a little storytelling in there. So we'll see what happens with that. It is going to be interesting to see, the maps that we are so familiar with change a little bit. So I mean, I do look forward to it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
What I'm wondering is how small are the changes going to be? Are they going to be small enough that I don't notice? Because
right.
there's a lot of small details I don't notice. I think what is it? The lamp posts in Carentan. If you ever get close to a lamp post, take a stop, look real close. You're going to see some detail that you never saw. So how much other detail have we not noticed because we've been so caught up in the action? That's going to change. It's going to make it feel more like you're in the moment and not in a video. It's just going to happen slowly, and uh, I think a lot of it's going to happen without us noticing.
Yeah. So yeah, for the non-console folks, if you got a Steam Deck, they're gonna put out a Steam Deck verified version. I guess for now, like it kind of does work on the Steam Deck already, but they're going for like an official release or something. I don't know exactly how the Steam Deck works, but um, and then they're also looking to get it into the Windows 10 store, which I understand. So I watched a couple videos from some um, what do you call them, war correspondents or whatever, and somebody mentioned something about like maybe this is a way to get it on like Game Pass or something like that, which would be amazing. But I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a PC myself, so I'm not sure how all that PC stuff works. I've heard a couple of people are pretty excited about the verified version. Steam Deck, I think the current Steam Deck version may have some issues because it's not a verified version. I honestly can't speak to that myself. There's really not a whole lot of console update in 16.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen more, but still not too bad. See a little bit of stuff. Another little DLC pack. Wonder what they'll have in that one. Yeah. My bet's on some helmets.
Yeah, possibly. Um, and finally, so we got one final update coming in December. Now, in the video, they referred to it as update 18. I don't know what happened to update 17. They never mentioned that in the video. Maybe I'm miscounting these updates. I don't know. But what do you think about update 18?
18, it looks like they're introducing another new tutorial system. But what I'm wondering is if they have plans to release another new tutorial system, why not just release it with the one in, what is it, update 15?
Mm-hmm.
Why not just release it together?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they cover different parts of the game. I don't know.
Well, speaking of, it looks like we're also getting another new game mode. So maybe that's what that tutorial system is for.
Perhaps.
Looks like the new game mode is called Skirmish. What do you know about that, man?
Skirmish. So they talked a little bit about Skirmish and the Battle of Danzig together. And so from what they showed, they had like a visual of, a 3D map. And it was a pretty dense urban environment, but it was a small map. So I'm guessing Skirmish. Oh man, I don't know. Do you think it's like a team deathmatch or something? What does Skirmish even mean?
Man, I don't know. But all it does is bring to my mind Call of Duty vibes, and I hope to not see that. Skirmish. I mean, wouldn't that be like an all out war?
I don't know.
See, the definition of skirmish is an episode of irregular or unpremeditated fighting, especially between small or outlying parts of armies or fleets.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a team deathmatch.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? Smaller map, very dense and urban. That's bringing a lot of Call of Duty or Battlefield vibe.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
What's this whole bunch of different of objectives. I mean, that says to me that you're going to be looking at a couple of grid squares that we have on our current maps. Say like probably 4 of those, and then pack 5 different points into those 4. That's what I envision when I see that.
5 objectives within one sector. Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it would work. I just don't. I'm not too excited about the smaller modes, but it could turn out to be very fun. We all enjoy that urban combat when you're having to peek around the corners, each and every corner, find some cover, run up into a house, find a window. We all enjoy that combat. So it could be super fun. Once again, man, as long as we can keep the feel of Hell Let Loose, I'm not opposed to anything. But I'm just scared that we're going to lose that feel. I don't want this to become a toxic environment.
Definitely. So we talked to the community manager a little bit, Wombat Medic, about the rotation, the game mode and map rotation, and she came back recently and said that they were thinking about other ways to handle that. I wonder if it will be some type of game mode selector so that you can choose between like warfare or offensive or skirmish or objective or what have you.
Yeah, so the last information that we got from Wombat, I know that we had talked with her on the backstage, trying to find a way to encourage the console competitive scene a little bit more. And through our discussions, we had come up with the idea of a set server rotation. She brought that to the T17 team. They discussed it. They looked into it. She came back and said that unfortunately, that's just not going to work out. Just because of the way the base randomization is programmed. It's a priority asset, or I don't really understand how coding works, but apparently you can't just change it. So they are looking at some different things, and one of the things that was mentioned was something along the lines of a map or mode selector. She was wondering whether or not that would be more worth the while when scoping out new map rotation logic. I think having these new game modes in there is definitely going to be encouragement to have a map or game mode select. Especially, I'm not going to. What if I don't like those modes? Play those modes. They better include a map or mode selector. And honestly, that'll be the closest step that we've had to server browser since the game came out. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I feel like they're determined not to give us. They're determined to give us anything but a server browser.
here's my thoughts on it. And this is just what I think. I don't have any sort of confirmation. This is all speculation. But from what I understand about the development world, which isn't much, I'm a dumb old electrician, but I've been learning a lot lately. When they developed the game on PC, the PC server hosters were able to build that in. But when they brought the game to console, they didn't have a very large selection of companies that could host the game cross-platform. The company that they did find that would host, for I guess a decent price, I don't know, the best deal, they don't have the ability to put in server browser or private servers. It's not all on the developer. It's the server host that doesn't offer that ability, I think. But I'm pretty sure that they had to lock into a contract. So I think that's really the reason why they haven't made any movements publicly towards the server browser, is because they can't. I think they're locked into a contract. But I hope that they're working on it in the back scenes, and then maybe when they can get out of that contract, maybe they can find a new host provider that does offer that ability. That's all. It's all speculation.
If that's the case, I wonder why they can't just come out and say that, that's what's going on.
Politics, diplomacy. Maybe they have a non-disclosure. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe we can get Wombat Medic on an episode to talk about it, or maybe not. Maybe we steer clear of server browser or something. This will be interesting to have Wombat on. But
I'm sure that if we can get Wombat Medic on, I'm sure that there'll be a little bit of hesitation to
yeah.
server browse. I know that it is the hottest topic in this community. It
Oh,
has
yeah.
been for a long time, and it probably will be for a long time.
Oh man. So what do you think about this Winter War stuff?
The Winter War stuff, man, I'm excited to see the opportunity for dynamic weather that they mentioned. They said something about a blizzard coming onto the battlefield midway. That's something entirely different, and that would change the course of the game. Like maybe you're in a warfare match, right? And you're able to hold that middle point. Um, blizzard comes through. You've lost all of your visibility.
Right.
Now all of a
Basically a
sudden
huge
that
smoke
enemy is
screen.
pushing hard, right? It could be one of the to compare it, the dynamic events of Battlefield. It could be something similar to that. You know, not quite as dynamic as like changing the battlefield, but it could definitely provide advantages that were not there before, depending on how it's implemented. If it's implemented the way that I imagine it would be a blizzard that you can't see very far. Use
Yeah.
that as cover to push onto the point. It's going to be a game changer.
I think that is so cool. Like if they can work that in, that would be pretty awesome. Now I hope it's nothing like super gimmicky like Battlefield 2042's tornadoes.
Oh yeah, no, please no.
Yeah. But I do think something like what you described, like a blizzard where your visibility is limited to, I don't know, 25 meters, 50 meters or something in front of you. That would be so awesome. That would add such a new aspect to the game, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think with that Winter War deal, we're gonna see a new faction introduced. We're gonna see Finland versus the Soviet Union. But what I'm curious about are we gonna see those two factions on a new map, and is the dynamic weather going to be contained to that new map, or will the dynamic weather be introduced to all of our existing maps?
Yeah.
Even further on that question, if it is introduced to all of our existing maps, uh, is it just going to be a blizzard? Is it just going to be contained to snow? Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be extra fog? What kind of dynamic weather are we talking about?
Oh man, imagine. So remember when Kursk Knight first came out, and
I
it was
do.
like a dense fog, is what it seemed
Yeah.
like. I think that would be.
Yeah, that's about the only way I can stand Kursk.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool though. You just had like a fog wall.
I hope they definitely use it as an opportunity to limit visibility without limiting the lighting.
Yeah.
I know they made some night maps, and while I love the night maps because it limits the visibility and makes it more fun for me, I know a lot of people just turn that brightness up, and that takes it away from it. So adding something like that would limit visibility without limiting lighting, without being able to change a setting to take that away, I think that would be really cool. I think it would be super awesome, super game changing, especially if it comes in the middle of a match. That, like I said before, it would be a smoke screen. It could turn the tide of the match, depending on what's going on.
Yeah. Now with the Finnish and Polish forces, we're also supposed to get some new weapons and vehicles. That should be pretty interesting to see. I don't know enough about either to know what weapons and vehicles we might get. Do you?
And see, I don't either, and I don't think they went into any detail on it.
They
Pretty
didn't. They didn't.
pretty vague, pretty open.
One thing that they also didn't go into detail on was the new clan system.
Yeah, so that's one of the burning questions. And one of the things that I'm trying to do here lately, I'm trying to gather up a whole bunch of questions from members of the community, representatives of the clans and the teams. I want to gather the most important questions, and I'm going to try to present them to Wombat in an organized fashion, an organized, diplomatic, and respectful way, to hopefully get the answers back to some of these burning questions that we have. One of the first questions that's going to be asked, if she will agree to this, is about the new clan system. How is that going to work? What all does that entail? Are we talking about just a way to approve tags, or are we talking about setting up an actual system for clan v clan, which would be kind of like a server browser? What are we talking about here? I'd really like to know more.
Yeah, can you imagine if like you had the ability to reserve a server or something?
And that would be super cool. I know a lot of the Hell Let Loose players that aren't in a clan or aren't on a team. I know that they have a real big problem if they ever are unlucky enough to get caught in a server that we're trying to burn through in order to make a TPL match happen.
Right.
I think most of the time, I think most of the time we're able to find some servers that don't have a whole lot of blueberries. But there's usually at least one or two that get in, and I think I've seen some complaints on Facebook for sure. So I'm really hoping that new clan system is going to be something more along the lines of like what you're saying. Maybe it reserves a server, and you get the two teams on either side. I really don't have any idea of how it could work. It's all just ideas off the top of my head, but I do hope it's something like that, some sort of way to set up a clan versus a clan. But even if it is just a way to approve the clan tags, even something like that could go a long way. I think all of the clans have had trolls put on the clan tags, go in, team kill, talk a whole bunch of shit, and just generally start a whole bunch of problems.
Oh yeah.
And all the other players are seeing are, well, that guy's wearing first tags, so first must just be a whole bunch of poop heads.
Right, right.
I think I think even if it is just something as simple as having to approve clan tags for registered clans, I think could be something that goes a long way. But we'll just have to see what it is, man. Hopefully, I can get Wombat to agree to some questions. We can get a couple of answers. They may not be a whole lot of details, so let's all curb our expectations now. But hopefully, I can get a couple of little answers to give us a better idea of what's going to happen.
I'm hoping that it's a whole revamp of the T17 menu system and all that stuff. Like I'm hoping,
Uh,
you can. I don't know. Like maybe I'm thinking too simple here, but like, gosh, I'm hoping you can sort your friends list. You can see who's in what, who has what clan tag, and
Oh,
uh,
that's really what I want to see the most. That's actually what I was going to say next was I'm hoping that when you mentioned menus, it reminded me they add the ability to see the clan tags in your T17 list,
yeah.
because there's so many people I have added now that so many people know my gamer tag. They add me, and I don't know half of who's who anymore. I
Right,
really
right.
don't. I don't even know who's on the team that I'm participating on anymore. So I would really like to see a clan tag organization system in the T17 menu. That would make life a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, definitely looking forward to these updates. So we got one more thing in this December update 18 or 17, I don't know whichever. And that's
One of those, huh?
updating the game audio and soundtrack. I'm guessing
Oh,
this is
thank
mostly
God.
music.
I hope so. I know that we all love the Erica song, but I am so tired of hearing it. My music settings in the game are all on zero.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
turned the
ever hear
music
that
off a
song
long
anymore
time
unless
ago.
somebody's chat. Yeah, I can't. I just can't. I've heard it so many times. I hear that shit in my dreams, and I turned it off months ago. I hope that they add some more songs. But I'm also interested to see what they're gonna do with the game audio. I know a couple of months ago they released that new SFX, and I just loved it. They took the machine guns off of the loop sound and added an individual sound for each bullet fired. They changed the sound
Right.
of the M1 Garand. I wonder if they're going to change any weapon sounds with this update of the game audio.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do. Um, I don't know. It does say game audio and soundtrack, so I guess it is more than music.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more than music, but it could be things like engine sounds. It could be turret sounds when a tank turns the turret. It's got that little whiny sound. It could be sounds as simple as that, but they just left it so open. There's so much speculation I have right now. What
Right.
is it? What do you hope to see? What sounds do you hope to see improve?
Oh man. Um,
I know I caught you off guard with that one.
yeah, that's a tough one. I think I think the external tank sounds could be improved probably. Um, there's really only one tank that I think I can actually recognize by sound, and that's the Panzer IV. But I
Yeah,
feel
honestly, these days I can't hardly even tell the difference between a tank and a truck.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like you should be able to tell the difference between all the different tanks just by sound.
Yeah, I mean they're all using different engines in reality, so
Right.
the engines are going to sound different. I hope they definitely make some improvements on engine sounds. I think they've already made the improvement on gun sounds. The arty sounds are perfect. Don't touch those. They're
Yeah.
terrifying. Leave them alone.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
And it
So
looks like we've got some more DLC with that coming too.
oh yeah.
Take a guess. More helmets.
Oh yeah, helmets. Get them helmets. Get them helmets, folks. Awesome. So yeah, that's all the updates. One question for you: did you see anything missing?
Yes, but I won't say it because we all know the answer.
With server browser?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting that to be on the roadmap.
I wouldn't either, but it would have been nice to see. No, I can't say that there's anything that I would say is missing because I don't know the direction that they want to take the game. Um, I would definitely like to see the Commonwealth come in. I'm a little disappointed. I do think that is missing. But like we were talking about earlier, if they have changed to where they're doing the introduction of the content according to the progression of years, that could have something to do with that. I just know that that was a pretty disappointing little realization.
Yeah.
Um, as far as anything else goes, man, I'm excited to see what they've got. I can't say that I think anything is necessarily missing. I hope that they are able to stay on track with the planned roadmap this year.
Right. Yeah, I think for me the only thing I could think of was mortars. I I
Oh,
don't know what happened to the mortars. Like the mortars were on the previous roadmap. And I thought mortars would be a great idea.
we do see in the update 15 they were talking about new RT units. That maybe that's what that is.
Maybe. I hope so.
One can hope.
But yeah, it's outside of the mortars, I don't know. I don't think I had any really big expectations. This is actually a lot more than I already expected. So I had low I had low expectations, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and I'd
it'll
have to say I kind of probably feel the same. I didn't really get my hopes up too high about the roadmap just because of what happened with the 2022 roadmap.
yeah.
Um, I do see them. They've released a few less than they did on the 2022, I think, and I think they've set some achievable goals. So let's hope they're able to stick to it.
Yeah, it's all going to be about delivery now. Can they deliver on their roadmap? Only time will
Yeah, and
tell.
I hope they can. I have faith in them. I know that they've been working hard behind the scenes. I know a lot of players don't see it, but I know that they have, and I think they'll be able to bring this one along. T17, the team that brought it to console, they've really been doing what they what they can, and for a long time they've been doing it with a real small. But since the T17 purchased the IP of Hell Let Loose, they've increased their team size. So hopefully with the fewer items that we see on the roadmap, the increased team size, I really do have faith that they'll be able to stay on track for the roadmap this year.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Hercules, thank you again for coming on to the podcast. It's your second time. How was it?
I thanks for having me, man. It was great. I was a little nervous coming into this. I always am. I find it hard to have some conversations, but this was fun. This was absolutely fun. I will absolutely do it again anytime you'll have me. Uh, Thanks for those who said they wanted to see me on here or hear me on here. Uh, I don't remember who it was, but thanks for throwing that out.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for coming back on. Always glad to have you. And thank you to everybody who's left suggestions in the channel on the TPL Discord. I really appreciate those suggestions. I am listening. Unfortunately, I can't get to everything in one episode, so it might take a little bit for me to get around to your suggestion. But I am listening, and it's definitely appreciated. And if you liked anything in particular in this episode, or if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment on this video or in the TPL Discord, and let me know. So Hercules, you want to sign off?
Hey, yeah, guys, don't forget to check the links in the descriptions to watch those match events. Between the teams, they all worked hard. Give them a view, give them a like, give them a follow. Thanks for participating in the People's League. This has been Hercules. Tritium, thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who's been listening. I really appreciate it. And that's it for me. Tritium out.